All right, this should work now. This should be much better. Hang on. Let me turn this up a little bit. Am I coming in good? Am I coming in clear? Is it too fuzzy? Too odd? Hi, Christina. Um, hopefully this should work. All right, cool. I got the okay. So, hello. Uh, how's everybody doing today? It's had to do a bit of a take two there because gonna have to send that in a couple other places for the socials. But 1 minute, gotta post it elsewhere because now I gotta redo all of it. Don't worry, we'll get this all set up in a moment. I promise. Uh, Welcome to the stream where I have to remind people that I'm streaming. One moment. Thank you. Have 3 people watch, 4 people now. Wow, it's pretty cool. Hang on a minute. Come on. Yeah, because social media is. I have a lot of social media pages, so there was a way I did this. I can see myself in my own phone. Come on, you can do this. Copy for debug info. How do I just want to share the link, please. Oh well. I'll worry about it later. Anyway, hello. How is everybody doing today? I know it's kind of a very eventful day, and by that I mean it's not a very eventful day. But I thought I would come out here for a little bit and entertain, mostly by showing my collection. I have in the background running on my Laserdisc player the Endless Orbit SSX Arcadia of my youth. I realize that's backwards in the frame. I don't know how to fix that, but hang on a minute. I think I'm going to set my mic down so people can hear me. I really don't know how to flip my mic around, but yet here we are. Maybe I'll let. Here we go. Well, I have this running on my TV. Okay, cool. If it doesn't look backwards, good, awesome. It is for me, but if it's not for you guys, that's cool. So I guess we could start with this. This is the first Laserdisc box to Arcadia of My Youth, Endless Orbit SSX, which takes place after the film Arcadia of My Youth, which I have the program for. I could show off a little bit later. I'm a huge Captain Harlock fan, so for those who don't know much about Laserdisc, I could show off a little bit of it. It comes with a very pretty little insert sheet with a ton of character designs and ship designs and various pieces of advertising. The movie is after 70. I believe Arcadia of My Youth was released in 1982, I want to say. Let me just do a quick Google search to make sure of that. Yes, 1982 was Arcadia of My Youth. I believe the television series aired a little bit after that. Unfortunately, it was taken off air and ran short because Gundam was starting to get big and the mecha genre was starting to sort of blow up. So people didn't want to watch space operas anymore. They wanted to watch giant mechs. We'll get to the Gundam stuff too, because I have a lot of Gundam. What's cool about this set? There's two of them. I'll grab the other one in a minute. Here are the sleeves, because you get the Arcadia. The other set's a Queen Emeraldus set, which I'll show in a minute. For those of you who are tuning in who don't know what a Laserdisc is, it is essentially a DVD the size of a vinyl record. Hey, you can see it playing on my TV in the background. CRT televisions are the best way to watch it. And sometimes the disc will have very nice art on it. It's very pretty. This one's got two separate sleeves, so it's going to take a minute to put back. But I think in my collection I have over 200 laser discs. I have a whole page for it online of all the random things I own. Side 4, disc 2. This is the first half of Arcadia, my youth on Arcadia, and this Orbit SSX. But essentially you'd find these in stores. This was a special price, 15,000 yen, roughly translated $150. So for $150, if you really wanted to watch Endless Orbit SSX, you can get the first half. So both sets would have been $300. I got mine for much less. Still a lot of money, but apparently I'm very faint. See if this is better. Someone's telling me. There we go. Laser discs play from both sides unless the material programmed on it is only meant for one side. I have a few one-sided discs. I'll show off a couple of those a little bit later. Here, let me go grab a couple other discs since I have a bunch of art stuff next to me, but we'll get to that in a minute. I'm gonna grab a few laser discs to talk about. So one moment, please. While I'm doing that, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's well with this whole quarantine thing. I'm in my room full of anime, so I'm pretty much there. One moment, please. What player do I have? I have the Pioneer CLD CLD D505. It's an upgrade. I used to have a Samsung player. The thing served me well, but I knew I couldn't make it last forever. But this one's a lot better. It has dual side play, so I don't have to get up and flip the disc. When I want to go to another side, it'll just do it automatically because it's got lasers on the top and one on the bottom, so it'll flip. And it has this video out, so it looks a lot better, especially on my CRT television. The other one, the colors would blend in too much. Color bleeding is a huge thing if you don't have a good player. Let me grab. So I've got a few discs here. Talk about some rare ones, some fun ones. Here is the second box to Arcadia. Hang on a moment. I'm gonna have to hold the mic up to here so people can hear me better. But there we go. This will be good. Here, let me turn Let me turn myself up a little bit, see if this is better. I don't know why they don't. My computer doesn't like me, but anyway, here we go. This is the second SSX box, the Emeraldus box. Very pretty. Of course, you have the animated interpretation of Emeraldus, in which they give her red hair instead of making her blonde, like Matsumoto does with all of his female characters. In the manga, she's blonde, but every animated interpretation, minus the Galaxy Express 39 television series, has her with red hair. I like both looks a lot. I think. I mean, it's definitely still close to the manga outside of the different hair color. So it definitely works. I would love to own the Galaxy Express 39 Laserdisc box, but unfortunately, that's really rare and kind of expensive. I have the movies on Laserdisc, which is like the best way to watch them. But yeah. So what's cool about the Emeraldus box? You get more artwork. This time there's some character designs, various pieces of advertising, which some of it, is scanned from like the studio themselves and other places. It's like, here's just this random book we had lying around, so let's take a picture of that. The Emeraldus box has pink sleeves instead of the gray, and it has the Queen Emeraldus on it, and she's on the disc versus Harlock. Even though Emeraldus, she does have a presence in the show, but she's not the focus because this is Harlock's show. She doesn't get her own anime till the 90s. Outside of movie appearances and go read the manga. The manga is really good, by the way. It has been released here. It's kind of hard to find now, but it is good if you ever get a chance to take a look. Put that over here. I'm kind of just putting this all on my bed, so there's like a lot of stuff. Apparently, I sound way better. So, let's go through some other weird discs I have. We can go through some rare ones, really rare ones. Pokemon Mewtwo no Gyakushu, otherwise known as Mewtwo Strikes Back. This was a very late release. This is the only Pokemon material to ever be released on the format. It's the original version of the film, without all the CG changes that they did for it, because they kind of did a Lucas and added different pieces of CG to it. It doesn't look very good. Before the Blu-ray in the States, we only had the full screen version, which is not the correct way to see the film. This is the original version. Like, this is it's very rare. I remember this guy used to price gouge. Ilya, if you're watching, you know who I'm talking about. There's somebody who used to price gouge these for like $300, which shouldn't. I think that's very unfair. It's rare, but I think it's not $300 rare. I got this from Japan for an incredibly generous price. I found it really late at night, and I'm going to be restoring it soon. I did my own subtitles for it, which I have the file for online, but the transfer doesn't look great. It's kind of compressed, and it's a little bit cropped. Hang on. So what's cool about this one, it's kind of hard to hold a mic and do this at the same time. There we go. You found one for $78. You found one for $78. Wait, where did you find? Did you find one? I haven't seen one of these in forever. This one's complete too. So if you bought this, you would get a postcard set. And it would advertise itself on the back, like, "Hey, look, Pokemon, go buy it. It's really cool." Some of this art they used for the American version. This is a very popular piece of Mewtwo art used for promotional material. This was only in Japan. These were only in Japan. I've seen this a couple places. This Pikachu is like a really popular picture. of course, it comes with a very pretty program book, or not program book, but a booklet. We'll talk about programs a little bit later. Very pretty artwork. Well, more character designs because character designs. And a little bit of Pikachu no Natsuyasumi, otherwise known as Pikachu's Summer Vacation, because for these Pokemon movies, they used to do Pokemon shorts. They still do them. It would essentially be you have your main feature, and then they'll do like here's a Pikachu short with Pikachu doing something cute. Is it uncommon for Laserdisc to have booklets like that? No. In the US, a little bit, but in Japan, they're everywhere. They'll usually have an insert, like a little sheet that'll tell you about the movie or even some advertising. I have a few with just like buy our products, it's really cool. But no, it's mostly Japanese releases have booklets and various art pieces. Yeah, you're not going to find this movie for a cheap price. It's very rare. It came out in 1999, which Laserdisc in the US ended around 2000. Public titles, that is, like Hollywood movies. The last two titles in the US were Bringing Out the Dead, which I own, and Tim Burton's interpretation of Sleepy Hollow. And Japan, the final film was a movie called Tokyo Raiders, which is really hard to find. There are also some various special discs that came out for promotional material, like they re-released Dragon's Lair, stuff. I know some guy who has something from like a Disney store that was used for promotion in 2001, and a disc that's coming in for me personally came out in 2001, utilized in karaoke machines. Since I know the Laserdisc community is like the entirety of the Laserdisc community is not watching right now because I want to surprise people with it. It's a karaoke disc. Oh, no, sorry, not a karaoke disc, a laser juke disc, which contains a bunch of music videos. And one of them is One More Time from Daft Punk. When that video was released in 2001, you could only get that video and a couple other, I know Digital Love and Aerodynamic are on Laserdisc too. You could only get them through not publicly released discs meant for jukeboxes and bars. I found it really late at night, like a couple days ago, and some guy from Italy had it and he sold it to me. I was absolutely shocked that he sold it to me. But it's very rare. It's very cool. I actually thought it was a PAL disc, which means I thought I had to get a UK player to play it. That's not the case. It is NTSC. I found out from somebody else who owns one. Talk about another fun, really rare release. And thank you, Ilya, for the Christmas gift because they knew I was looking for this for a long time. Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie. This is the season 0 film, season 0 being the season they never released in America because it's way too dark. It's very good, though. It's my favorite season of Yu-Gi-Oh! They don't play a lot of card games, not until the end. This movie's all about the card games, though. And instead, Yami would play torture games. So I think my favorite is in the manga. The first one he plays is with some school bully, and he says like, "Put a bunch of dollar bills on or $100 bills on your hand and stab your hand with a knife, and see how many dollars you can get on your knife. And if you stab your hand, you lose." That's how dark we're talking. Kazuki Takahashi moved away from that later, and eventually it became all about the card games. And this movie was shown at film festivals. It was a double feature with a Dr. Slump movie. Dr. Slump being the project that Akira Toriyama did before he made Dragon Ball. This disc is incredibly rare. This was released the same year as Pokemon, 1999. I looked for this for years. I wanted this ever since I started collecting. I'm going to be restoring this soon too. 3,000 yen special price it used to go for 3,900, so $39 USD. It's really cool. I'm really happy I own this. The video quality is fantastic. It's the best way I've ever seen this film. I recommend season 0. You cannot find it officially in the States. Japan, they only got them on VHS. because no studios really, Toei has just not wanted to re-release it. Even though Yu-Gi-Oh is such a massive brand, I guess it's because it's so different from how it used to be. But this one's a one-sided disc. Yes, yeah, this one's a one-sided disc because the movie's only like 45 minutes, so it's pretty cool. Another fun one I own is Army of Darkness, known in Japan as Captain Supermarket. And if you notice, this one is signed by Bruce Campbell. I met him at a screening of Evil Dead on 35mm a few years ago, and he signed it for me, which is really cool. He's gotten it a few times. Some people do bring this in. I'm a huge Bruce Campbell fan. I love Evil Dead. I've always wanted the first Evil Dead movie on Laserdisc. It's kind of rare though. It's the best way to watch it, in my opinion. But yeah, it's Captain Supermarket, the hero you've seen before. I always love the advertising for this movie. I think in Japan, this movie's called like The Ghost's Guts 3 Captain Supermarket. But this is the open matte version, meaning it's in 4x3 because that's how all three of these movies were shot. I actually have Evil Dead 2 as well. Let me grab Evil Dead 2 since let me be on Laserdisc for a little while. We'll get to the art stuff and the programs in a minute. Where's Evil Dead 2? Assault on Precinct 13, Scream, a lot of horror movies. Horror movies are great on Laserdisc. Video Essentials, 80 Police Files. I got Captain Harlock blasting in the background, so I used to hear that while I'm talking. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Here we are. Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Okay. So, here is the Elite video. This is a US release of Evil Dead 2. It's in widescreen, so it is the matted version. It's a good way to watch it, though. I know the Blu-ray's okay. My problem with the Blu-rays for Evil Dead is, especially for the first one, they correct effects. So they'll digitally remove, like, there's some guy in the background or something like that. And personally, that adds to the charm in my eyes. So I like the original versions of movies. But what makes this disc cooler than most other discs is something very special. It's red. It is a blood red Laserdisc. There were only a few thousand of these released, if I remember correctly, so they're kind of hard to find. They did two versions of this. They did the standard clear plastic and then the red. They did the clear plastic version because some players had a hard time reading them. But I love this disc. Come on, how do you not like a blood red Laserdisc? It's the only one of its kind. The only kinds of colors for Laserdisc were standard plastic, this red, gold, which was typically used for rentals in Japan, and some art discs called pit art. I have two pit art discs. One I'll show off in a little bit. I think I'll spend another half hour talking about Laserdisc because I have a lot to talk about, and then we'll get to like art books and art programs and paintings and things like that. But yeah, get a nice look at the blood red disc. I love this thing. I got it from a very generous seller who was like, "Oh yeah, I have one, and I'm not going to charge you like $300 for it because since Evil Dead is so popular, people really want it." Get a look at the back. There's a little note with Bruce Campbell's signature here, not the authentic one like I have, but it has one of the best commentaries I've ever seen or ever heard to a movie. My favorite commentary will always be Ray Harryhausen talking about King Kong, but this is still really cool. It's really funny. It's just Campbell and Raimi going on about the movie for like an hour and a half, cracking jokes. It's a good time. Yeah, again, I don't own Evil Dead 1 on Laserdisc. I want it, but I don't own it. But Evil Dead 2 is still a cool piece to have. Have the Arcadia theme going in the background. So if we could talk about art on discs, this one's another one I got from Ilya recently. You're gonna be hearing their name a lot because they helped me with my collection. They're a very good friend of mine. This is a preview disc for Daiei movies. Daiei was a company that competed with Toho, the studio that owned Godzilla back in the day, and their monster was Gamera, the giant flying turtle. I love Gamera. I don't have any Gamera laser discs. I want a couple. There's some really nice boxes, especially the Heisei trilogy. But this was made for promotional purposes. So as you can see, it says not for sale. And this disc is unique. It's very thin, first of all. It's got art on it. There's Girara, the giant space chicken, a star from Warning from Space, because there's Warning from Space and Message from Space. It's a few different movies. But yeah, this is like a one-sided disc that just had a bunch of trailers on it. That's all it is a bunch of theatrical trailers. What's really cool is for Kirara, they have the US trailer and the Japanese trailer. But again, you wouldn't be able to find this commercially. You'd have to either usually get it mailed in or something, or find them in stores, or they'd be playing these in shops. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of giant monster movies, so I have a lot of that kind of stuff. But this is an example of art etched into the disc. Very rare. I've seen a couple. I've never seen one for sale, but I've seen pictures outside of mine. I believe there's an insert for this too. Is there an insert? Yes, there is an insert. No, there is not an insert. My apologies. A minute. But yeah, it's a pretty cool little release. Let me go grab a couple more things. I'll be right back. All right, more stuff. I'll do a few more laser discs, and then we'll get into art stuff. Let's see. Got a few messages. So ooh, wow, you're right. Wow. Oh, hey, that's the exact guy who is trying to rip everybody off. The one with the $219. I know him. He's a huge jerk. But he was not happy when I got mine. Anyway, here's something really cool. I'm a Don Bluth fan, so if any of you have heard, Dragon's Lair, instead of being picked up for an animated series or film or pilot, they're instead making a live action film with Ryan Reynolds, which is a huge disappointment in my opinion. I would have loved to see a return of traditional animation, and we're not getting that. But in place of that, I have Dragon's Lair from the arcade. Yes, this is the disc utilized in the arcade. Let me pull this one out. So this one's kind of unique too. So here's your standard Dragon's Lair disc, but on the back is metal. This is pure metal. It's kind of heavy. It's got some weight to it. And so if anyone knows how Dragon's Lair worked, much like a few other video arcade games, it would play a movie, and whatever you did with the control stick or hit the sword button, because there was a sword button, it would skip to the part of the disc to show whether or not you lived or you died. If you put this into your player now without any sort of special equipment, it'll just play. It'll play through like every screen, every death, the whole shebang. It'll show you every screen like, oh, you have 3 dirks remaining and 4 coins. But this is one of my most prized discs. I love Dragon's Lair a lot. I love Don Bluth. Another one from Ilya. Thank you. But no, in all seriousness, I love you. Thank you so much for all the stuff you've helped me get over the years. But yeah, this disc is fantastic. I love Dragon's Lair and Don Bluth. I've always wanted Dragon's Lair 2 as well, because that game is way crazier. Space Ace as well. But yeah, essentially every motion video game at the time, like that utilized full motion video in the arcade, was probably on a Laserdisc. One of them was Time Gal, which is an anime game, which is very fun. There was one called Cliffhanger, which utilized clips from Lupin III, The Castle of Cagliostro, but they didn't call him Lupin and things like that for legal reasons. My favorite one, which I know I'll never own, but I've always wanted to see, is the Final Yamato arcade game. So for the release of the film Final Yamato, they had made an arcade game, and apparently there are 2 versions. You can find the whole thing on YouTube, but you could play through all of Final Yamato, and what's cool is they use the international title, Space Cruiser Yamato. So it was obviously going to be meant for US audiences too, since Star Blazers wasn't completely unknown here. Yes, I guess, Christina, there are other games that utilize Laserdisc. In fact, there was a Laserdisc console called the Laser Active. Excuse me. Yeah, brain fart. The Pioneer Laser Active, which utilized Laserdiscs for games, and they were games specifically made for Time Gal was one of them. So there's Time Gal, the arcade game, like one of these discs used in the arcade, and then one that was commercially released. The Laser Active is incredibly rare. They go for a lot of money. I've seen one in person. I've used one in person. They even had attachments for the Sega CD, which was a Sega game console, and the TurboGrafx 16, or the PC Engine in Japan. That's like the equivalent of a Blu-ray player using a Wii and an Xbox in its system. Like, that's just weird. You'll never see something like that today. But they go for at least $2,000 to $3,000. Like, with all the attachments, you're looking at like $5,000. I never will own one unless I somehow win the lottery. But I knew a guy who told me that he went to an estate sale and saw one for $50, didn't know what it was, and passed it up. Sucks to be him, but they're really cool. But you can buy discs like this. These were not meant to be sold commercially. I have footage of this being pressed because they included on the Dragon's Lair DVD. And in 2001, they did a limited printing of, I think, a couple thousand of another Dragon's Lair disc. This time it was meant to be commercially released. So Laserdisc owners could experience the arcade game again. I don't know if there are any differences video-wise. I don't own one to test it. But yes, or find one at an estate sale. I have my first player I ever got was at a garage sale. I was in early high school. I had just gotten into the format, and there was a guy there, and he was like, "Yeah, he didn't have it out. I had to ask him for it. I went around asking everybody if they had a Laserdisc player, and that was how I got my Samsung player. And the guy was like, "Yeah, I have one. It's in my house. Let me go get it." And he brings it out for me. He sold it to me for $50 because he was shocked that somebody my age wanted a Laserdisc player. I loved that thing very much. It's with my friend right now. I passed it on to him. Because my other friend sold me the CLDD 505, which is a much better player. Anyway, let's go on to another disc real quick. All my really funky ones. Glad I'm getting through all the funky ones. Because it's hard for me to realize I have so many different weird laser discs because I tend to find them in like the most bizarre places. I've been told I have like the scariest luck when it comes to finding things. But hope everybody's having a good time, by the way. I know isolation's gotten to a lot of people, and just want to spread a little cheer, a little bit of knowledge about weird video formats nobody talks about anymore. Here's another one with cool art. Ranma 1/2 Bataru Gai Pai Niju Q Korina Yatsura. Oh my god. It's a long title. This you couldn't get publicly. This was not available commercially. You had to be part of the Kitty Animation Circle, which was a club dedicated to properties released by Kitty. And this was one of them. And what makes this one cool, remember when I mentioned pit art earlier? This one also has pit art. If I can get this to show up on camera. This one's kind of hard to see. Oh, well, maybe I can get it to show up. You gotta get the light just right. But, yeah, there's Boy and Girl Type Ranma, which is just super awesome. Ever since I found this, I found a couple more. But this was a special, mostly a clip show, with some original animation, which is why I'm going to restore it soon. But, yeah, it's a pretty cool disc. Again, you could only get it if you were part of the animation circle. I wasn't alive, but I would have loved to if I lived in Japan at the time and Ranma was big. Because Ranma really hit the big scene in 1989. One moment, putting stuff back. You shouldn't leave your discs out like abused records. Put them in sleeves. Protect them. Take care of your laser discs. PSA. More Arcadia in the background. Now I can get into my favorite franchise ever, because of course I have to have Dragon Ball on everything. So here is my only Dragon Ball Z disc. Dragon Ball Z discs are kind of hard to find. None of the series ever got released on this format until I found out a couple were released in Hong Kong, but they're very, very rare, and I've never seen anyone talk about them very much. But every movie was released in Japan. So I got my favorite one pre-Battle of Gods era, which is Fusion Reborn. Very nice art on this one. I have a lot of copies of this movie. I have it on DVD. I have it on VCD, which has the Malaysian dub, which is the funniest dub of the series ever made. But yeah, I don't want to take this out because of the Obi. Putting back Obis are just a big pain in the butt. So you see the pretty cover art. Yay! The audio on this is fantastic. It's even better than the Blu-ray, which is crazy. But yeah, it's very cool. Plus, you have Gogeta in here, and I love Gogeta. He's my boy. So now my rarest discs that I own, which would be Dragon Ball GT from Hong Kong. So, as I said, Dragon Ball was never released. The television series was never released on Laserdisc in Japan, and neither was GT. I was shocked to discover these exist. These are real. The first two volumes are actually bilingual. One in Japanese, one in Chinese. And I was just blown away. I never seen these. I had somebody who offered them for a $25 lot. I bought them immediately because I'm a hardcore Dragon Ball fan, and this is easily the rarest Dragon Ball thing I own. I have the first 5 volumes. I'll show off the others in a minute. I had to add the pages for them on the Laserdisc database because nobody else did. Pretty cool ring art as well. Get a good close up on the camera so you guys can see it. Yeah, this some of the most prized possessions are weird discs from Hong Kong. I've never seen pictures of these. I had to upload them myself. If you Google Dragon Ball GT on Laserdisc, you will find my pages because that's how rare they are. I had another guy from France who had a bunch of other ones, some of which I'd never seen before. He wanted like $700 for his lot. I said, no, absolutely not. The fact I even got these were nothing short of a miracle. I'll show off the rest in a minute. I gotta go put more back. And I gotta sit up in a minute because my back is killing me. I'm kind of like hunchback in it right now. Hang on one moment. All right, I can show off the rest now. Hang on. So, volume 2. Woo! Volume 3. And volume 4. All of these utilize stills from the show as their cover art, and they're not original pieces of cover art. But yeah, they're super, super duper duper rare. But yeah, they're my most prized Dragon Ball possessions. One of my most prized possessions are those Hong Kong discs. All right, one more minute. Okay, that's enough Laserdiscs for now. My back can hardly take this. So I'll show off more at a later time. I have a lot. I have a whole list online. But let's get to art pieces because I think my back needs a break. So let's see. Well, since I could lead into this discussion, I love my two favorite things in the world are Dragon Ball, of course, and Godzilla. So I have a lot of Godzilla merch. You guys can see in a minute. Um, well, first of all, I can show off this, which is my screen used piece of skin from the Godzilla animatronic, otherwise known as Zilla, um, utilized in the 1998 film. Thank you so much to my friend Dylan. Um, it's an incredible gift, and it's funny because I don't like Godzilla '98, but just to own a piece of this is incredible. Um, and I like the creature's design. Zilla always had a fascinating thing to me because it's a mutated iguana. It's not a mutated dinosaur. Um, and the television series they made, the animated series, is actually pretty good. If you want something decent that came out of this property, that would be the animated series. A fun fact about the animated series: this Godzilla that you see in the movie was turned into a mechanical version, it was brought back to life and given robotic parts as a cyborg. I believe it was called Cyborg Godzilla, and it's about it continues from this movie. There was an egg that hatches, and that baby Zilla grows up, and it ends up fighting its father and killing its father on screen, which is bonkers for a children's show. Um, children being in air quotes. But yeah, there was an animatronic for this, despite people being like, "Oh, it's mostly CG." Yeah, it is mostly CG. But the animatronic they made for this is really cool. There are a few pictures out there of it. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. Um, but they used it for a couple shots, like shots on the Brooklyn Bridge, and there's this really big shot from it's in the trailer too, where the creature is, chewing on a boat. I think there's a boat that's up for sale from this movie too. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, that animatronic isn't around anymore. It was destroyed, but you can get pieces of it. And certificate of authenticity. It's real. It's the real deal. But it's one of the sweetest things anyone's ever gotten me. And thank you so much, Dylan. If you're watching right now, hi, Christina. If Dylan's watching, tell him I said hello, and thanks again for the Godzilla piece. Been told my volume's low again, so let me turn myself up a little bit. Here, let's see. That should be better. Let me see. Let's get into art stuff because I like art stuff. Let's see. Where can we start? I think I do want to start with the Godzilla stuff. So, we'll probably talk about Godzilla 98 a little bit more because I know, Christina, you gave me a couple folders from that movie which use most of the newer design, but I could talk a bit about the original concept for what Godzilla 98 was supposed to be. I have a lot of stuff. Come on. Lots of stuff. More stuff. Hello, I'm move my certificates of authenticity. Gotta prove my skin is real. Come on, where'd I put that thing? Guess we'll get to it eventually. Anyway, move old Harlock. My Godzilla piece. Yes, all hail the Zilla flesh. Careful, it's radioactive. Radioactive piece of Godzilla. Well, I guess we could talk a bit about the original concept for Godzilla 98. Okay, class, raise your hand if you know the person who did the original design for 98. I'm kidding. Stan Winston, you may know him as the animator for the California Raisins, and he did some work on Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. He had a design for Godzilla for the 98 film. It stood upright. It wasn't hunched like Zilla ended up becoming. And it was going to be all practical, no CG. Probably claymation as well, since that's what Stan Winston was known for. It's very alligator looking. So I like the design. I thought it would have been a much better direction than what we got. He was also going to fight another monster called the Griffin. You can find pieces of that script out there. And recently, some people put out more of the art that they found of Godzilla and the Griffin. Unfortunately, Stan Winston passed away recently. But of course, people knew him, though. He was one of the big heroes in stop motion animation. So let's see some weird Godzilla stuff I own. So here is a weird piece. My Godzilla Tokyo SOS puzzle, otherwise known as Japan as Godzilla Mothra Mecha Godzilla Tokyo SOS. Because, of course, it's not a Godzilla movie without 100 names in the title. Uh, and I know the only one that ever kept the long name in America was Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack. That's a mouthful. Try saying that 10 times fast. But there's that. Now we'll get into theatrical programs. You're probably wondering, what are programs? Similar to a playbill in America. When you went to see a movie in Japan, you will get a program, which would probably give away your whole movie. Sometimes I know my Shin Godzilla program has a spoiler warning on the obi on the sheet because they didn't want the whole movie to be spoiled. I mean, the marketing for Shin Godzilla is incredibly brilliant, where they barely show much of that monster nor what it does. We'll start with the decent stuff, then we get to the really cool stuff. This is a chirashi. Chirashis are flyers, usually left in movie theaters, like mini posters for movies. And this one is Godzilla 2014 in Japan. So you get a bunch of information. There's a road show, so they'd often tour this in different theaters. Versus here, where once a movie's released, it's just here. I mean, they do the same thing in Japan too, but the cute little chirashi of Godzilla 2014. Fun fact: this picture was actually on my birthday cake back in 2014 before this movie came out, because I was really excited for it. I like it. I like Godzilla 2014. I don't think it's great, and it does not hold up. The human characters are garbage, like worse than how some of them are in the original films. They're boring. The movie's boring. That's its worst attribute. King of the Monsters is better, but King of the Monsters also has horrible characters. I think characters that are worse than the ones in 2014. But hey, here's my program to Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack, which features one of my favorite Godzilla designs. My favorite design out. I love Shin. Versus Destroya looks really cool. I have a lot of Versus Destroya stuff. Because burning Godzilla is like the coolest thing ever. 54, and I really like the GMK design. What's cool about the GMK design is it's the only one without pupils. Gave this like weird milky eyes because he's supposed to represent the souls of those who died in World War II, seeking revenge on the world. It's a weird movie, but a fun movie. Directed by Shusuke Kaneko, who ended up rebooting the Gamera trilogy in the 90s. Some pretty cool art on here if the glare doesn't get in the way. It's very glossy. The later books in the 2000s tend to be a lot glossier than books in like the 80s. I have some 80s ones too, from older movies. Let's get some cool pages. Got some Baragon action going on. Baragon, one of the most underrated kaiju. Baragon gets curve stomped in this movie. He doesn't have a chance against Godzilla, but it's kind of sad. But he also couldn't fit in the title, unfortunately, because I think Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Baragon, Giant Monsters All Out Attack, would have been a little much. Mothra's design. For this movie, they ditched the cutesy butterfly look for more of a evil-looking moth, and I mean, it works. It definitely works. It's a fan favorite for fans. Fan favorite for fans. I'm tired, but here's Golden Boy himself, King Ghidorah. I love Ghidorah's design in this movie. I think it's cute. They made him a lot smaller than he is in other movies. I think the biggest I've ever seen him is probably Godzilla King of the Monsters. He's huge in that movie. That wingspan's incredible. But I think they utilize a similar Ghidorah design in Mothra 3 in the 90s. This Ghidorah looks cool as hell, though. I love King Ghidorah. And more pieces about the movie. Yay. And then at the end of these books, they tend to have like advertisements for other movies and products, like buy our Godzilla toys and our figures, and buy our books. I think this one doesn't have it. It's one of them has the Godzilla movie studio tour CD-ROM disc. Here is Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah. Highly recommend this one. It's one of my favorites in the Millennium series. Uh, Maybe I could host a watch party on Facebook one of these days, and we all watch Godzilla movies. If anyone would be down for that, I would be because I watch Godzilla a lot. But any questions so far and things like that? I'm more than happy to answer any questions anybody has about anything or various things like that. Um, but let's see here. Sorry, couple messages and things like that. Oh, you've only seen 54 and Shin. Um, so 54 is my favorite, of course. It's my favorite movie of all time. Um, Shin is probably my second favorite. Um, which is crazy just knowing that it came out 4 years ago. Um, and Shin is the best thing to come out of Godzilla in like the past 10 years. So, um, Connor, I don't recommend watching all of the Godzilla movies. I think some are better than others. Um, some are really entertaining in how bad they are, and are um some are just bad. Uh, that's my Shirashi. Oh, it's already in the wrapping. Uh, it's because Ano does great stuff with everything. I just finished Evangelion recently, and I would have had an Evangelion thing to show off today if the mail didn't come late, because this virus is screwing over everybody. Um, Parts of Kids on Bike. Kids on Bikes applies to a lot of Godzilla movies and even some Gamera movies. Because in the 60s, they wanted to make Godzilla after Mothra versus Godzilla. They wanted to make him more of a hero. So they did for a while. I love Godzilla versus Megalon. I love Jet Jaguar. It's such a stupid movie, but I like it. Um, just show off some more Godzilla stuff. It's my Urutse material. Let's see. Any more Godzilla? Plenty of Godzilla. Oh yeah. A lot of people got familiar the with Godzilla, Showa Godzilla through MST3K. Um, I have 5 people tuning in right now. Hello. Anybody else out there? 4 people. But still, say hello. Feel free to chat. Make yourselves at home. Grab a coffee. Here's a Chirashi to Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, otherwise known in America as Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2. Um, I don't like the design to this Mechagodzilla. I think it's a little too dopey looking. The original design was cool as hell. It was 3 parts, a tank, weird sort of leg, other tanks, just all tanks, coming together to form a Mecha Godzilla, which looked really, really cool. Unfortunately, they never went through with that, and they made this movie instead with this design. I don't hate it; it's not the worst, but it is like my least favorite Mecha Godzilla design. This one introduced Fire Rodan though, which was pretty cool. Uh, Another Shidashi. There's a really good art piece. I don't own it, but for this movie, and it looks really cool. Um, I wish I had the Chidashi for that one, but I'll settle on the standard release Chidashi. Um, Here's a Chidashi for Godzilla Final Wars, which has one of my favorite of Godzilla art ever. I love this picture. That's hand painted, by the way. It is very, very pretty. Um, I like Final Wars. It's the final movie they made before reboot time. So, um, yeah. Well, now we can start talking about 84 because I have a bunch of Godzilla 1984 material. Oh, I guess this is all my Chidashis. Here's the Chidashi. This is my oldest Chidashi that I own. Godzilla 1984. Um, I have a bunch of 84 stuff, so I'll pull that out in a minute. Here's Shin. Here's the Chidashi to Shin Godzilla. Let me straighten that out a little bit and pull that out so you can get a good look at him. Look at the boy. I love him so much. I love this design. Shin is probably my favorite Godzilla design. I just think Burning used to be my absolute favorite, but Shin, just look how grotesque that is. And to think they had a practical version of this at one point. That is awesome. Like, it's so great. I can go on about this design for hours. Kind of a boring back. It's just here's the building, and I mean, they didn't want to give away much of the movie, so I understand why they had it. But yeah, no, I love Shin Godzilla, and this Chidashi is no exception. It's really cool. I can pull out 84 as well. I have the program and a very special piece of 84. This one's kind of old, so I gotta treat it carefully. I mean, always treat your things carefully, but the Return of Godzilla, otherwise known as, but this was Godzilla 1984. So it's two movies called Godzilla. Um, Luckily, it's not like Halloween where there's Halloween, Halloween, and Halloween. These ones you can actually remember the years. So Godzilla 84 and Godzilla 54. There's also Godzilla 2000 Millennium. That is literally called Godzilla 2000 Millennium. Um, I like the suit in this movie too. I think the problem is they constantly switch between like this newly mechanical animatronic that's remote controlled and the suit, and the suit looks good in some shots. The eye placement's weird, so some shots it looks terrible. Um, I like 84 though. It took a long time for this movie to come out uncut in the states. Um, but because the U.S. edited version was distributed by New World Pictures, owned by Roger Corman, the very famous horror director known for making crap, a lot of crap, just plenty of crap. Um, I think I'll go for another hour or so, and then I'll call it. But I thank everybody so far for tuning in. I hope everybody's having a good time. I got like 4 viewers, which is pretty cool. I may do this another day as well, um, just because everybody needs some escape for a little while. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I'd always wanted to be a film historian, so this is just my excuse to talk about a bunch of history of stuff. So more chidashis. Let's see here. What else do we have? Let's see what else we can go through. All right, we'll do this one. Let's see what's in this bag of goodies. Go back to more Godzilla. Who's ready for more Godzilla? I know I am. This was for the Godzilla 1983 Film Festival, in which they showed every film from the Showa era before the 84 reboot kicked in. This one's sweet. This is also old. This is from 1983. I actually forgot I had this. It's a cool book though. Here it is, Godzilla 83 Film Festival. Every film up to Terror of Mechagodzilla, there's known as Mechagodzilla's Counterattack. Um, yeah. We shall return, yeah. Because they would come back in '84. I think every monster on that page too made a comeback at some point or another. Yep, except for Mechanicon. There's actually a picture of Mechanicon from King Kong Escapes, which is a Toho produced King Kong movie. Um, yeah, this is a neat program. See some cool pictures. There are the Peanuts, the original Shobijin from Mothra. Very pretty singing voices. I'll post some music later because there's some music from these movies I really love. Um, Yeah, you can get a really nice close up of that's the Godzilla versus Kong suit, which is super scrunched in looking. I always thought the face of this one was really weird. Um, he looked like he got hit in the face with a frying pan. Um, yeah, I think they showed. Okay, so in this festival, they showed Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, King Kong versus Godzilla, Kaiten Gunkan, otherwise known as Atragon, Mothra versus Godzilla, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, Ebra Horror of the Deep. I want to say no, excuse me, Invasion of Astro Monster, uh, King Kong Escapes, and Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla. So up to 75, because I believe that, or 74, I think was when Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla came out. But yeah, this is a cool little booklet. Uh, I mean, I would totally be at a Godzilla festival if they did a film festival like this. I mean, there's G Fest where they show Godzilla movies, and things like that, and you can like meet cast members and things like that. Akira Takurada loves to go there, so you may catch him there. I guess shifting gears for a minute, here is my program to Gamera 2, the Guardian of the Universe, which is not the title for this movie. Advent of Legion is the title of this movie in the U.S. and Japan. Um, but they used to market it as Gamera, the real Guardian of the Universe. Did my best impression of that announcer. Um, this has one of my favorite practical monsters, which is the Legion, which looks super cool. Um, awesome. This is all practical, by the way. None of this is CG. It looks so cool. I love Gamera's design in these movies. I've always wanted the Laserdisc box to this, and especially Revenge of Iris. Yeah, no, this movie is just so cool. Um, back when they used to have Gamera and strings and things like that to fly him around. There's Gamera and the Legion. The Legion was so cool. Like these arms. Oh, I guess it's hard to hear me again. Hopefully this should be better. Uh, gotta keep leaning in and out of my mic. Uh, the Legion. What's cool is these pincers here. Those all move individually. That is so sweet. There's somebody who had to sit in this suit. The bottom half is for its legs, and each individual pincer would move, and it's just the coolest thing ever. Um, I think I have a picture of him in the suit sitting down, because it's so sweet. Hang on a moment. There is a piece. It's kind of hard to hold the mic and show it. Because Legion had a bunch of little parasites that came to form it. And it just looks so cool. I mean, half my reaction to these movies are, wow, that just looks awesome. Um, more advertising for other Gamera stuff. Buy our products. This was when Gamera was owned by Toho, the company that owned Godzilla. Toho and Daiei established a deal with the character to use the image, and it created the very successful Gamera trilogy in the 90s, which are my favorite Gamera movies. They're fantastic. Anyone who sees them will tell you they're good. I never met anyone who doesn't like those movies. Excuse me. Some of the finest pieces of kaiju filmmaking I've ever seen in my life. Thank you, Shusuke Kaneko, for being cool. That one's okay. Kind of do a bit of a speed around here. Here's something also it's pretty neat. Return of Godzilla, 84. He came back. Yay. So this is some press conference note. If you were part of the Godzilla fan club, the Godzilla Club, you'd get this cute little booklet that show you a bunch of info about Goji here. Some Destroy All Monsters pictures, because Destroy All Monsters. Godzilla goods, including plushes. Buy our stuff. you're part of our fan club, aren't you? And I believe I've never really found too much information on this because I don't know anyone else who has one. But I think apparently what I was told, these are press conference notes announcing the return of Godzilla. Um and it's super neat. Um yeah, it's so awesome. I've never been able to find anybody who can tell me exactly where it came from or what it is, but I assume it came from a Godzilla club, and this wasn't given out publicly. But here is the program to 84. Um, this one's kind of old because it's from the 80s. Uh, Again, a sweet suit. I always loved the look of Godzilla 84, and if I can see if I can find some pictures about. Oh, I love this image. Um, Angry Godzilla, but they talk about its height and everything. The Cybot. So this was the animatronic they made for the film. Um, you can get a bit of it here on the making of. Here's what the inside of the skeleton would look like. It's very meaty, very fleshy. Um, and that thing would break down a lot when they were making it. But hey, it turned out to be a decent movie. I like it. But we'll get back to some anime stuff, and I think I'm gonna wrap it up soon. Again, thank you for everybody who's here right now. Hope everybody's having fun. I am having a good time. Love showing off my stuffs. I've been collecting for a very long time. So, before I continue, does anybody have any questions or anything like that? Be happy to answer. Could be anything. Within morality sake, nothing mean or weird. Um, Probably show off some animation cells. Um, do I ever frame any of those prints I get? I tried framing cells, but the problem is I found out from a cell collector is that they'll bubble up because there's this and eventually they'll crack away and rot. I shouldn't do that to them. So the best idea is to keep them in folders like these. A lot of stuff. Here we can do another program. This one to one of my favorites, the first Urusei Yatsura movie, Only You. Uh, I love this film quite a bit. This was the film that Mamoru Oshii made as an Urusei movie, even though he really wanted to make Beautiful Dreamer. And he had really weird ideas for this film. Um, the studio was like, no, 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 no. You're gonna make our own movie. So he made this movie, and then he got the right to make Beautiful Dreamer, which he so desperately deserved. But this program's very pretty. I love Only You. Only You and Beautiful Dreamer are like the best Urusei movies. Most because they're by Mamoru Oshii, which means they're really good. Your cast of characters. And of course, Urusei loves science fiction movie parodies, so Star Love Wars instead of Star Wars. The Battle for Love in Outer Space. The Lost World, but it's Lost Love World, which is just great. And you get to see Elle, who's probably one of my favorite antagonists. She seems very friendly at first and a victim of circumstance, but then she's a little cuckoo. Spoiler alert. I'm not going to tell you why she's cuckoo, but watch the movie and find out. Very pretty pictures. Everybody loves Lum. I love Lum. You love Lum. Everybody loves Lum. More Lum pictures. This is actually one of my favorite. This piece here for the movie is actually one of my favorite art pieces from this franchise. I love the Only You promotional art. It's just so pretty, and I have Lum with her correct rainbow hair. But anyway, I think I'm gonna show my cells because we're already getting to almost the hour and a half point, and then I'm gonna sign off. But okay, everybody's been patient enough. Let me get my Arcadia of my youth. There. I'm not gonna show off Arcadia of my youth because I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen Arcadia of my youth. Do a few of these. These are Rumiko Takahashi file folders. I have 3 of them. There's a Ranma one, an Urusei Yatsuda one, and a Maison Ikoku one. I love the Maison one. The Maison one's very pretty. Definitely watch Arcadia of my youth, Connor. I want to talk about it. The program to Beautiful Dreamer. Another one I don't want to show off because I don't want to spoil Beautiful Dreamer. Only You is okay with spoiling since it's typically it's a movie. Beautiful Dreamer is a movie you should watch. I have a Chobits file folder. I got this for free. I don't know what to do with it. It's cute. It's Chobits. Yay. Here we go. Godzilla versus Destroyer pencil board. Spoilers, Godzilla dies. That was the big part of the marketing to this movie was Godzilla dies. Oh, here are the folders. Here are the American Godzilla folders. Thank you, Christina, for these. I got these when I was on set for Revenge of the Mask 2. Get more old Zilla in there. Very dated, very 90s. They're cute. Here you can get some more of the post Godzilla versus Griffin designs, which I like these drawings. They look cool. I just don't like that they called him Godzilla. But still pretty neat. Here's something random. Gundam Wars 6 Fighting. This is a G Gundam art book. I'm a huge G Gundam fan. Outside of 0080, this is like one of my favorites. I know it's bad. I love G Gundam. Very dated, but come on, it's so stupid. It's such a good time. A ton of art in here. I can't hold this with one hand, so I guess you really see the cover. There's a lot of character designs and figure designs in here. And all the products, and includes all the rules of the Gundam Fight tournament, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a nice book. I got this at Youmacon. Very cool. Um, Heavy Metal Elgaim children's book, which is funny because it's Heavy Metal Elgaim. I didn't pay what this was supposed to go for like $2 back in the. I didn't pay $2 for this. I paid more than $2. But hey, you get some cool art in here. This is cardboard, so I gotta be kind of careful with it. But I like Heavy Metal Elgaim. It's really bad, but I really like it. Yeah, come on, you can do it. Yeah, there we go. And get the cute, derpy looking piece of animation. Those classic Tomino designs. Elgaim's a treasure. All right, let's get to my cells. I gotta move my Harlock disc. I have so much stuff on my bed. Ooh, excuse me. Yamato, a lot of Yamato, a lot of Space Battleship Yamato stuff. Dr. Slump, a lot of Urutse. I guess I could show some more Urutse. Here's a Lum pencil board, which is some English writing on here too. But this design was made for the anime, of course, since Lum's eyes are huge and the hair is green. But it's a very popular picture. I like it. It's not bad. Ooh, get some more fun stuff in here. The 1985 teleplay planning calendar, which is a much better piece of Lum art, in my opinion, because it's a lot closer. I think this was actually from Takahashi, this piece. But yeah, just a calendar for recording things on. I believe they advertise, for beta. You can choose whether or not you want beta and noise reduction and VHS. That like it's like a check mark. Like I guess it's to record it. Because they didn't sell a lot of Urutse beta tapes, not of the series. I could totally be wrong though, and some guy will be like, "Hey, I got like 40,000 Urutse beta tapes." But this is a cool calendar. It's vintage, it's from the '80s. It's neat. It has a cute Lum on it. Yeah. All right, let's get to animation cells. I want some cool ones to show off. Where's my one with Marin? 5-Star Stories program. Godzilla Chomo bag. A lot of Godzilla. Here we go. So here is my Marin cell from Assemble Inserts, the only piece of Assemble Insert I own outside of the DVD for the show. I also have the original production drawing of her. The gag where she's juggling the weights. I'm a fan of Assemble Insert. It's adorable. Masami Yuki is awesome. I need to watch more Patlabor because I actually really like Patlabor. But yeah, Marin's adorable. I'm glad I own a piece of this. Yay, Assemble Insert. So cells are paintings from television shows and movies. Everything pre 2000, maybe a couple little early 2000s things have cells of them. And they're usually, depending on your series, they'll be easy or hard to find. Here's a cell from Fight Ixer 1. This is my Nagisa cell. Be careful with that. Me. Literal painting from Fight Ixer 1, because Fight Ixer 1's amazing and you all should watch it. No, it's not related to Patlabor. It's by the same artist who did Patlabor, Masami Yuki. I have a bunch of cells, my most prized being a Kid Goku, which I've shown off a few times. I don't feel like digging to get out. I'm sorry, everybody. But if anybody really wants to see it, I'll send some pictures. But we're reaching that hour and a half point. My back is killing me. Been hunchbacking it for a little while. Whew. All right. Well, any questions before I wrap things up for the day? I want to thank everybody, all four of you who are here right now, for coming out and watching stuff and talking about anime and things like that. I had a good time too. Uh, but yeah, I have a ton of stuff, and this isn't even scratching the surface. I have way too much crap in my collection. But yet again, thank you for everybody who came out, gave it a watch. Um, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Uh, and yeah, and thank you for tuning in, Connor, and keeping some convos going. Anybody else tuned in, thank you. Stay safe, stay hydrated, wash your hands, of course. Don't be a dick. Uh, yeah, see ya.